Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sister Sister. We're your hosts, Elle and Amaya, and today we'll be talking about Samhain.
I love Samhain. I
I
love it.
also, my brain always says Samhain, but I know it's Samhain, and it's one of those things where it's like my brain says one thing and my knowledge says another. So it's Samhain for those who don't know how to pronounce it.
Yes. So I think we'll just get right into it. What is it? It is a pagan religious festival originating from an ancient Celtic spiritual tradition. It is usually celebrated from October 31st to November 1st to welcome in the harvest. So this is like the last of the harvest festivals and usher in the dark half of the year. Celebrants believe that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world break down during Samhain, allowing more interaction between humans and those that are in the other world.
Samhain historically, ancient Celts marked Samhain as the most significant of the four quarterly fire festivals that took place at the midpoint between the fall equinox and winter solstice. During this time of the year, hearth fires in family homes were left to burn out while the harvest was gathered. After the harvest work was complete, celebrants joined with Druid priests to light a community fire using a wheel that would cause friction and spark flames. The wheel was considered a representation of the sun and used along with prayers. Cattle were sacrificed, and participants took a flame from the communal bonfire back to their home to relight the earth. Early texts present Samhain as a mandatory celebration lasting 3 days and 3 nights where the community was required to show themselves to local kings or chieftains. Failure to participate was believed to result in punishment from the gods, usually illness or death. There was also a military aspect to Samhain in Ireland, with the holiday thrones prepared for commanders of soldiers. Anyone who committed a crime or used their weapons during the celebration faced a death sentence. Some documents mention 6 days of drinking alcohol to excess, typically mead or beer, along with gluttonous feasts.
So, some myths related to Samhain. One of the most popular Samhain stories told during the festival was of the Second Battle of Mag Tuired, which portrays the final conflict between the Celtic pantheon known as the Tuatha De Danann, which I think I'm saying that correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not, and evil oppressors known as the Fomor. The myth states that the battle unfolded over the period of Samhain. One of the most famous Samhain-related stories is The Adventures of Nera, in which the hero Nera encounters a corpse and fairies and enters into the otherworld. Samhain figured into the adventures of mythological Celtic hero Fionn mac Cumhaill when he faced the fire-breathing underworld dweller Aline, who would burn down the Hall of Tara every Samhain. Samhain also figures into another Fionn mac Cumhaill legend where the hero is sent to the land beneath the wave, as well as taking place on Samhain. It features descriptions of the hero's holiday gatherings. So there's a lot of Celtic mythology also surrounding Samhain. If you want to look more into that, we'll have links. That was just kind of like brief history.
So, Samhain versus Halloween. Despite occurring at similar times and containing similar themes, Samhain and Halloween are not the same holiday. Halloween, for sure, is All Hallows Eve, which is celebrated on and around October 31st and tends to be more family focused and also commercialized, to be honest. On the other hand, Samhain is more religious in focus and spiritually observed by practitioners. There are some more light-hearted observances in honor of the dead through Samhain, but the underlying tone of Samhain is one of a serious religious practice rather than a light-hearted make-believe reenactment. Today's pagan Samhain rites are benevolent, and although they are somber and centered on death, they do not involve human or animal sacrifices as some rumors may claim. Another difference between Samhain and Halloween is that most Samhain rituals are held in private rather than public.
So, Samhain today, the holiday, also known as All Hallows Eve, Feast of Apples, and Feast of the Dead in many different cultures, there is some form of celebration for a lot of people during this time. This is considered to be the beginning of the new year for many neo-pagans. So if you look at the Wheel of the Year, which we've already discussed the issues with the Wheel of the Year, but if you look at it, Samhain is considered like the witch's new year according to that kind of neo-pagan and Wiccan belief system. It's also believed that the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead, or between, our realm and the realm of other spirits, is so thin during this time that it is virtually non-existent. So you may see a lot of witches talking about doing workings with people who have passed over, which we will talk about some different types of rituals that can be done.
Next, colors and symbols of Samhain. Black and orange, similar to Halloween. Foods representing the final harvest, specifically apples, pumpkins, pomegranates, turnips, and cider. A cup of mugwort tea and soul cakes for those who have passed on. Black stones or crystals such as onyx, jet, and obsidian. Black or orange candles. A found animal skull or photos of your loved ones who have crossed over. Fall plants such as acorns, oak leaves, heather, sage, and broom straw.
So any of those symbols can be used to one, decorate your altar or your home if you are going to be celebrating Samhain rather than focusing on Halloween. I feel like most current day witches kind of have a happy medium between both. Um, but they also can be used in your spell work on Samhain. So, if you are a kitchen witch, making mugwort tea and soul cakes. If you are a person who is working on other sorts of workings during Samhain, using black stones or crystals in those workings, all kinds of things like that, using black candles or orange candles. Lots of different ways to incorporate those different things. Acorns are actually historically very good for luck. So maybe you want to do a luck working. So here are some ways to celebrate Samhain, different types of rituals. One could be honoring your ancestors or honoring the forgotten dead. Honoring passed on pets and animals is another big one. Cemetery celebration with ancestors. So if you have a lot of your ancestors that you work with who are buried in the same place, this could be a way to celebrate on Samhain with them by going to the cemetery. An end of harvest ritual or hosting a dumb supper, which dumb suppers are very traditional in the Samhain celebration. So we are going to talk in detail about what that is to kind of wrap up the episode.
So, what is dumb supper? In this case, the word dumb refers to being silent. The origins of this tradition have been fairly well debated, some claiming it goes back to ancient cultures, while others believe it's a relatively new idea. Regardless, it's one that's observed by many people around the world. When holding a dumb supper, there are a few simple guidelines to follow. First of all, make your dining area sacred by either casting a circle, smudging, or some other method. Turn off phones and televisions and eliminate any other outside distractions.
And I just want to
Secondly,
say
oh,
real quick in there, we did put smudging in there because dumb supper is something that a lot of Native American people do to celebrate the passing of loved ones and the veil being thin. But obviously, do what is appropriate for the culture that you are a part of.
exactly. Secondly, remember that this is a solemn and silent occasion, not a carnival. It's a time of silence, as the name reminds us. You may wish to leave younger children out of the ceremony and ask each adult guest to bring a note to dinner. The note's contents will be kept private and should contain what they wish to say to their deceased friends and relatives. Set a place at the table for each guest and reserve the head of the table for the place of the spirits. Although it's nice to have a place setting for each individual you wish to honor, sometimes it's not feasible as there may be many. Instead, use a tea-light candle at the spirit setting to represent each of the deceased. Shroud the spirit chair in black or white cloth. No one may speak from the time they enter the dining room As each guest enters the room, they should take a moment to stop at the spirit chair and offer a silent prayer to the dead. Once everyone is seated, join hands and take a moment to silently bless the meal. The host or hostess, who should be seated directly across from the spirit chair, should serve the meals to guests in order of age from oldest to youngest. No one should eat until all guests, including spirit, are served. When everyone has finished eating, each guest should get out the note to the dead that they brought, go to the head of the table where spirit sits, and find the candle for your deceased loved one. Focus on the note, then burn it in the candle's flame. You may wish to have a plate or small cauldron on hand in case to catch the burning bits of paper, and return to your seat. When everyone has had their turn, join hands once again and offer a silent prayer to the dead. Everyone leaves the room in silence, stop at the spirit chair on your way out, and say goodbye one more time. So, that being said, I hope you guys learned a little more about Samhain. As always, you can check out the links in our description and in Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you choose to learn more about Samhain. It's a beautiful time, and I think besides Halloween, maybe incorporate some of these small traditions in your celebration.
Yeah, there is also like some crossover between Samhain and Halloween. Like the idea that carving pumpkins originally was supposed to keep away spirits because the veil's thin, which is traditionally more of a not necessarily Christian, but like Abrahamic kind of idea where you carve pumpkins to keep the evil spirits away for the night of All Hallows Eve. So there are things like that that you can also turn into rituals and things for yourself, whether it is, carving a pumpkin to give light for your ancestors to find you or something like that. And also, that is one of the harvest foods that is recognized during this time as well. Even doing small things leading up to Samhain, like going to an apple orchard and picking apples that you're going to use to bake something for Samhain, or maybe you're doing a dumb supper, things like that, that really are just like intentional, but are small little things that are already being done during the fall time to kind of bring it into your practice.
Next, we have the astrology almanac with Elle.
Today, the moon in Leo will sextile with Jupiter in Gemini. This is a time for your optimism to lead to new opportunities. On the 27th, the moon in Virgo will oppose Saturn in Gemini, leaving you overwhelmed. It is time to take delegation of tasks more seriously. This energy will continue on the 28th when Venus in Sagittarius squares with Saturn in Pisces. You may want to retreat during this time because your responsibilities are overwhelming, but it's not the end of the world to ask for help. Rounding out the week on the 31st, Mercury in Scorpio will try with Neptune in Pisces, leaving you feeling imaginative and urging you to focus on creative endeavors. A creative time for Samhain.
Last but not least, let's get the cards out for
Judgment. What a
oh,
card. Judgment is talking about everyone is judged at the end of the day, whether it is through spiritual ways, whether, God, whatever they may believe in. There's going to be some sort of judge karma and kind of retribution for any actions that you cause harm to others or good you cause onto others. Regardless, everything cycles. So if someone in your life has been kind of causing issues, don't worry. There is hope because they are going to be getting what is coming to them. And same goes for you. Definitely be cautious with how you are treating people because you don't want negative energy coming back to you.
and that's the tea for today. Well, thank you guys for tuning into another episode of Sister Sister. However, you may celebrate Samhain or All Hallows Eve, we hope you enjoy and have a safe yet wonderful experience. We hope to catch up with you guys soon. And as always, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And maybe even follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to ensure you're getting the episode update real quick. See you all after All Hallows Eve and Samhain.
Bye, guys.